tune it in the sun. This is TFM. Get ready to rock. From AM to PM. Come on. Let's talk.
TFM 95.4.
Let's talk.
Live on TFM and the TFM Facebook page. This is the live feed of TTV. Let's talk.
Hello and welcome to the Midday Update. Coming up are the headlines for today. A year after the demise of Sultan Qaboos, his legacy lives on. Oman to be among top growing countries. Carriage that carried body of late Sultan Qaboos on display at SAF Museum. ESO drive to encourage environmentally conscious community behavior. Indonesian plane with over 60 people aboard crashes in waters off Jakarta. Germany wants US, EU to forge Marshall Plan for democracy. White House Coronavirus Task Force warns of possible USA variant fueling spread. Horse race organized at Al Rahaba Racecourse. Fosu Mensah set for Manchester United exit, says Solskjaer. Those are the headlines for today. Now let's take a look at the weather.
Hi, my name is Maytha El-Shukaili for today's weather update. And right now, I'm outside the TFM studio in Al Khuair. Before we move on to weather, here is our tip for the day. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was formed in 1988, and this was to collect and assess evidence on climate change. And most of the planet's ice cover would melt by the end of the century, triggering a cascade of irreversible consequences, which will lead to flooding that's strong enough to engulf an entire city. That's our fact for the day. Now let's step inside the studio and talk more about weather. According to Oman Meteorology and Civil Aviation Authorities, the weather will be relatively cool and there will be mainly clear skies over the rest of the Sultanate, and the wind will be northeasterly, light to moderate. With that, let's take a look at how the weather will be like in all the governorates. Muscat will be sunny, temperatures between 21 to 13 degrees Celsius. Musandam will be sunny, temperatures between 21 to 13 degrees Celsius. North Al-BATINAH will be sunny, temperatures between 22 to 12 degrees Celsius. Buremi will be sunny, temperatures between 20 to 11 degrees Celsius. Al-Dhahira will be sunny, temperatures between 22 to 12 degrees Celsius. Al-Dakhiliya will be sunny, temperatures between 23 to 11 degrees Celsius. North Al-Sharqiyah will be sunny, temperatures between 23 to 10 degrees Celsius. South Al-Sharqiyah will be sunny, temperatures between 21 to 15 degrees Celsius. Al-Wusta will be sunny, temperatures between 22 to 13 degrees Celsius. And Dhofar will also be sunny, temperatures between 20 to 10 degrees Celsius.
Hello and welcome back to the Midday Update. Let's take a look at the COVID-19 updates. The Ministry of Health has announced the registration of 3 new COVID-19 deaths, taking the total death toll to 1,508. The ministry has extended its deepest condolences to the families of the deceased. The Ministry of Health has also announced the registration of 538 new COVID-19 cases, taking the total cases in the Sultanate to 130,608. In the past 72 hours, there have been 311 recoveries, and the total number of recoveries now stand at 122,867. The ministry has urged everyone to adhere to social distancing instructions issued by the Supreme Committee and the Ministry of Health. The late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said bin Taimur and his achievements for Oman will continue to live long in our hearts, says Omanis in the country. 10th January 2021 will mark 1 year of the passing of the late His Majesty, who placed Oman firmly on the path of progress when he ascended to the throne in 1970. Yunus bin Ali Al-Mantari, the head of the Youth and Human Resources Committee of the Majlis Al-Shura, very keen to hear of the opinions of people from various parts of his country. He would travel across the governorates and listen to the sheikhs, the elders, the youth, and the government officials there to help meet their needs. This is why our services and infrastructure has kept pace with the changes in industrial and economic development around the world. Hilal Al-Badi is a Deputy Director of Communications and Media at Sultan Qaboos University, a place of learning founded by and named after the late His Majesty to provide quality learning to people in the country to help develop and drive Oman forward. The late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said bin Taimur made sure the efforts he took for the country would continue to benefit all even after his death, he explained. He made the right recommendation in selecting his successor, the person who would continue building our renaissance. The late Sultan was not just the leader of Oman, but the ruler of our hearts as well. He was a man who solved disagreements through wisdom and skill, one who dedicated his entire life to our country, added Al-Badi. This earned him the respect of countries and organizations around the world. Salim Al-Badi, a native of the Wilayat of Saham in North Al-BATINAH, was inspired by how Omanis who had settled elsewhere returned to the country to contribute to its development on hearing of the intentions of the late His Majesty to build a modern state. We considered him our father, so when he called for us to unify and work for the homeland as one, all Omanis heard him, he admitted. We must credit him with taking action towards the construction and development that took place under his wise vision that was with him from the time he became our leader. Al-Badi joined the Royal Army of Oman in 1974, serving as a soldier in the Dhofar Governorate for 5 years, taking part in military operations before joining the Ministry of Health in 1979, where he continues to work to this date. He went on to say, at a regional and international level, he developed his unique policy of friendliness towards all, which was designed towards achieving peace and security. At home, he made sure the Omani people were both the center of and the pillar on which the Renaissance took place. This was an agreement shared by Nawab Darwish, a student at SQU, who praised the late His Majesty for developing the country's industry, education, commercial, service, and leisure opportunities to ensure everyone can achieve good standards of living. The late His Majesty has not faded from our memory. In fact, he is present on every street, in every building, and in the hundreds of projects to which he gave his blessing to build our country, he said. He was always keen to provide us a modern state with well-developed education facilities so that all of us could serve the country according to our specialization. I want to thank our late Sultan for building so many schools and universities because these give us the opportunity to study, added Darwish. Explaining how the actions of the late His Majesty continue to guide her, Maimuna Al-Shabani, the founder of the retail agencies, said this. He will always be in our hearts, as I'm comforted by memories of his wisdom, achievements, and everything he has done for Oman. I have so much respect for the legacy he left behind for our beautiful country and all future generations, she added. Even after his passing, there is still so much we can learn from him, and it is wonderful to see His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq carrying on the task of enabling our country to progress. The Sultanate will start on Monday, January 11th, a new year of its renewed Renaissance March under the leadership of His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, who assumed power on January 11, 2020. The Sultanate renews the sincerity and loyalty of the government and people of Oman to His Majesty the Sultan, who is keen for Oman to be among the top growing countries of the world. Besides, His Majesty is keen to protect the national interests of the Sultanate in pursuant to an unambiguous planning set forth in Oman Vision 2040, aimed at achieving qualitative changes in all spheres of life. Since the first day of assuming power, His Majesty the Sultan has reaffirmed that he would seek to establish a new stage of sustainable development to meet further aspirations of the people of Oman and to preserve the achievements made during the past decades and to enrich the efforts extended for the country's development. During the past months, His Majesty the Sultan has taken a number of steps and procedures which have paved the way for the implementation of the Oman Vision 2040. Kicked off in January 2021, it would continue for 4 consecutive development plans, starting from the 10th 5-year plan, which is from 2021 to 2025, aimed at achieving national objectives through execution of the proposed programs, initiatives and projects within an integrated time schedule and regulatory framework. The 10th 5-year plan has been established on the mechanisms and programs of economic diversification and the increase of contributions of the non-oil activities and targets an annual growth of 3.2% in the GDP of non-oil activities. The plan also focuses on promising economic sectors represented by the advanced technology-based industries, agriculture, fisheries, agricultural manufacturing, food industries, transport and logistics, amongst others. The plan also targets an increase of the private sector's contribution in the in-country value economic sectors along with the rising contributions of the SMEs. To further cement Oman Vision 2040, His Majesty the Sultan has started measures and actions aimed at developing the administrative apparatus of the state units and reformation of the Council of Ministers to enhance the government performance. Last October, His Majesty the Sultan ratified the medium-term fiscal balance plan, which is from 2020 to 2024, set by the government. The plan aimed to achieve financial sustainability and fiscal balance by the end of the year 2024 and to pave way for Oman Vision 2040. His Majesty the Sultan has also issued royal orders on execution of a number of development projects worth Omani Riyal 371 million in the various governorates of the Sultanate. The general budget of the state 2021 has focused on sustainability of the basic social services and maintaining a level of spending in such services of not less than 40%. To accelerate the pace of transformation to e-governance, His Majesty the Sultan has followed with the efforts accorded to this effect. His Majesty the Sultan has also issued directives on acceleration of execution of the National Unified Portal for Government e-Services. On the other hand, the Ministry of Finance announced on His Majesty's directives at the beginning of 2021 a number of facilities and incentives offered to the citizens and the private sector, including the increase in the number of annual housing loans offered by the Oman Housing Bank during 2021. His Majesty the Sultan has also ordered the establishment of a job security fund with the personal finance from His Majesty of Omani Riyal 10 million and has issued a Royal Decree No. 82 by 2020 endorsing the JSF system. The Sultan's Armed Forces or the SAF Museum has the honor of displaying at Sultan Qaboos Hall at SAF Museum at Beit al-Falaj the car which is a Land Rover and the cannon's cart which carried the body of late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said bin Taimur, besides a copy of the letter of late the Sultan to members of the Royal Family Council through the Defence Council on his successor, the Sayyidiyah Amama, the turban and the khanjar, which is the dagger. It is worth mentioning that SAF Museum was opened on December 11, 1988 under the royal patronage of the late Sultan Qaboos bin Said bin Taimur. The museum presents Oman's military history across the various stages represented in Beit al-Falaj Castle, which was built during the reign of Sayyid Said bin Sultan in 1845. The Environment Society of Oman is kicking off the new year with the launch of the It's Time campaign, a year-long initiative designed to promote the adoption of environmentally conscious community behavior across Oman. Coinciding with Oman Environment Day on the 8th January, the campaign is focused on three key issues affecting the Sultanate's environment and its communities: litter, single-use plastics, and recycling. As well as prolonged social media campaign, the organization will be holding a number of workshops, panel discussions, cleanup events, competitions and awards, aiming to engage communities in environmental causes, raise funds, and educate and inspire people on the benefits of adopting sustainable behavior. Among the activities is a quarterly Environmental Heroes Award to celebrate individuals and companies who are making a noteworthy contribution to Oman's environmental preservation. Furthermore, the WAI Award will challenge 15 to 25-year-olds to create their own content in the form of short films, short stories, or infographics with an aim to motivate the community to adopt habits that promote sustainable lifestyles. Meanwhile, the Young Environmentalist program will offer free interactive workshops for children under the same theme. As the country's only non-profit organization dedicated to environment, ESO has spent the last 16 years working to protect Oman's environment and its wildlife. Aside from a variety of research and conservation projects, it continues to introduce new and innovative ways to educate and engage the local community and affect behavioral change. We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with our international stories.
Oman's largest online supermarket now has no minimum order limit. From grocery to household items, Rafiq has everything that you want. Enjoy worry-free shopping with over 8,000 products to choose from and get it delivered straight to your doorstep. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
It's about time we kicked COVID-19 out of our lives. Join us on TTV Outline every Monday and let us learn how to fight COVID together.
Welcome back to the Midday Update. Let's take a look at the international stories. A passenger plane of Indonesia's Sriwijaya Air carrying over 60 people crashed into waters off Jakarta on Saturday. Human body parts and debris of the plane were found, Captain Iko Surya Hadi, commander of Trisula Coast Guard ship, told a local TV. The Boeing 737-500 plane was carrying 62 people, including 56 passengers and 6 crew members. We found body parts, life jackets, aviation turbine fuel, and debris of the plane, he told the local TV. The SJ-182 flight, which was flying from Pontianak City in West Kalimantan province, crashed at around 2:40 p.m. local time after taking off from the Soekarno-Hatta International Airport in Jakarta, Surya said. The ill-fated plane of the Indonesian budget airline lost contact with air traffic controllers after taking off from Jakarta on Saturday afternoon. Spokesman of the National Search and Rescue Office, Yusuf Latif, told Xinhua. Rescue teams were heading to the scene after receiving information from the AirNav Indonesia, which is responsible for providing all air traffic control services across Indonesia, he added. On October 29, 2018, all 189 people aboard were killed after Boeing 737 MAX plane of Indonesia's Lion Air crashed into the Java Sea shortly after taking off from Jakarta. In December 2014, an AirAsia plane crashed into sea en route from Indonesia's second biggest city, Surabaya, to Singapore, killing all 162 people aboard. In the aftermath of the storming of the US Capitol, German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas called for a wide-reaching pro-democracy initiative spearheaded by Washington and its EU allies. We are ready to work with the United States on a joint Marshall Plan for democracy, Maas told the Germany news agency DPA on Saturday. The original Marshall Plan was a US economic campaign launched in 1948 to rebuild 18 war-torn Western European nations. The US allied West Germany was among the biggest beneficiaries. On Saturday, Germany's Maas echoed worldwide condemnation of Donald Trump supporters who had breached the US Capitol building while the lawmakers were working to certify election results. We must not yield any room to the enemies of liberal democracy, Maas said. This applies not only in the USA but also here in Germany and Europe. Maas did not provide details on the idea. However, he pointed President-elect Joe Biden's call to create a network of democratic nations. The German foreign minister also greeted Biden's pledge of political reconciliation within the US following the Trump presidency. The diplomat noted that France and Germany had launched the Alliance for Multilateralism in 2019, which has since grown into a loose network of over 20 nations, including Finland, South Africa, and Tunisia. There would be a more transmissible variant of the coronavirus that evolved in the United States and is fueling spread of the virus, according to the White House Coronavirus Task Force. The new strain, in addition to the variant found in Britain, is already spreading in communities and may be 50% more transmissible, according to a report obtained by US media that the task force issued to states on Jan 3rd. The task force said the recent spike in cases has been at nearly twice the rate seen in the spring and summer seasons, according to the report. This acceleration suggests there may be a USA variant that has evolved here, in addition to the UK variant that is already spreading in our communities and may be 50% more transmissible, said the report, calling for aggressive mitigation to match a much more aggressive virus. Without uniform implementation of effective face masks, 2 or 3 ply and well-fitting, and strict social distancing, epidemics could quickly worsen as these variants spread and become predominant, said the report. Scott Gottlieb, the former commissioner of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, told CNBC on Friday that the new strain of the White House task force has found appears to be behaving like the one circulating in the United Kingdom. The latest developments came as the country has identified a total of 52 cases of coronavirus variant first identified in Britain, according to data updated Thursday by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This includes 26 cases in California, 22 cases in Florida, 2 cases in Colorado, and 1 case each in Georgia and New York. The agency cautions that its numbers, which are updated Tuesdays and Thursdays, may not immediately match those reported by states and local officials. Those were our international stories. We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with our sports news.
Oman's largest online supermarket now has no minimum order limit. From grocery to household items, Rafiq has everything that you want. Enjoy worry-free shopping with over 8,000 products to choose from and get it delivered straight to your doorstep. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
It's about time we kicked COVID-19 out of our lives. Join us on TTV Outline every Monday and let us learn how to fight COVID together.
Welcome back to the Midday Update. Coming up are the sports news. The Royal Horse Racing Club organized yesterday the 9th race for the current season at Al Rabah Racecourse in the Vilayat of Barqa. 120 horses from the various governorates of the Sultanate participated in the event. The competition comprised 8 rounds, 6 rounds for purebred Arabian horses and 2 rounds for hybrid horses. Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirmed that defender Timothy Fosu-Mensah will be allowed to leave the club. The Dutch defender joined United from Ajax Academy as a 16-year-old in 2014. He made his debut 2 years later as a substitute against Arsenal in February 2016, a game which saw Marcus Rashford score twice on his Premier League debut. However, unlike Rashford, Fosu-Mensah has been unable to break into the league on a regular basis, making just 29 further appearances in the intervening 5 years. I'm not sure if Timo is going to stay or if he's going to take an option now. He's not played enough, so of course he's been allowed to speak to clubs with a view to leaving now in January. It's difficult when you've got good players, talented players, and you can't give them game time. He's now at the stage where he needs to go and play again, Goal.com quoted Solskjaer as saying. It might be at the end of January or it might be in the summer that he finds somewhere else. So he's working hard. Tim, he's ready for a move for any club that he feels ready for, he added. During his stint with the Red Devils, the defender has spent time out on loan at Crystal Palace and Fulham. Fosu-Mensah, whose contract expires at the end of the season, is likely to be one of a number of players allowed to leave Manchester United this month as Solskjaer continues to rebuild his squad. The Norwegian has already confirmed that Sergio Romero and Marcus Rojo can leave either in January or when their contract expires in the summer. Those were our local stories, our international stories, and our sports news. We'll be back with Outline tomorrow, so stay tuned.
You've just heard the live feed from the TTV studios on TFM 95.4. Let's talk.